What is going on, brothers and sisters? Eric Rosen here from Viking Rising Astrology, here to free you from emotional jail to pursue your truest desires in life. Dusting out some old hashtags, old intros, some things I haven't used in a while. Felt good, was going over my journey as an astrologer, as a shaman, as an intuitive, and just how I got started on this work. And it's like, why did I quit saying that? I need to bring that back. It feels good. So this is your daily horoscope, Viking Rising style, for Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you all. Well, we're still in that Scorpio season, right? We've still got a little over a week left. Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy. I've said that a few times. It's like, especially when you got the moon in Aries today, crossing Chiron, yeah, you might wake up a little bit sensitive, maybe walking on some eggshells a little bit in terms of like your perspective and just your reality. I think it depends on the kind of momentum that you've been creating on the ascension ladder you've been climbing with Uranus, retrograde, teaching you how to elevate yourself better in Taurus. But that moon is making good aspects over to Jupiter to start the day along with Chiron. So I think we got to get our mindset straight. This is about, some Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, style stuff, but we got to get to our roots too. Remember, Aries very much deals with just the basic nature of staying rooted and connected to just the basics of things. Do you know what you're doing, or do you know what actions you're taking for the day? I mean, especially with Mars, the ruler of Aries, that's in shadow in Leo, making an odd quincunx over to that Venus in Capricorn. It's like, we got to get our plans straight. They got to feel good. We should be designing a day-to-day, step-by-step creation mode of our life to start bringing our greatest, creations to the forefront. And while it's not going to be fully understood with that Mercury in shadow in Sagittarius and, Mars in shadow in Leo as well, I think we need to play with our creations that feel like the spark of inspiration. I think this is one of those times where it's like a reminder that nothing's ever going to be perfect. We're not going to have all the answers, or we're going to be trying to search for too many answers. Or you with Mars, Leo, it can be like, trying to get your inner child on board or something, like with the plans of the go-getter attitude. And it's like, it's never just going to align, especially South Node Libra, the way that we want it to. That moon's going to be opposing that, or reminding us that sometimes we got to tell that inner child or protector IFS parts of ourselves, like, hey, it's going to be okay. And, moderate those sons of bitches, to put it in Dwayne The Rock Johnson, format, that, we can give them a different job. I think this is assigning different roles to the parts ourselves that try to, fuck ourselves, like growing a fucking dildo out of our skin because of our sensitivities and trying to fuck ourselves with it. I know that's extremely graphic, but I don't really give a fuck. It's one of those days where it's like, it's a day that reeks of authenticity, right? There's not a perfect human being walking this planet right now. There's going to be so many reveals coming these next few months. And even the tidiest of light workers, of light warriors, is still going to have, their own reality checks that come to just make sure that we're all staying on this path, and that it was never about being on some perfect ascension ladder that, that we, some guru at the top of the mountain that will be crushing. Because with this astrology, it's like, how's the scoreboard looking? Put points on the scoreboard. Remember, this is it. This is the last few days of Pluto and Capricorn. We will never fucking see this again. I cannot believe that we're here. I cannot believe we've even made it this far. 16 plus years in the making. So, take your plans, take your creations, and do the things, that you can. Like, if you're feeling restricted, it's probably a mind fuck. It's probably a part of you that's, almost like trying to teach you that you're going to win first place for snoozing in or something. It's like, nope, you snooze, you lose. Like, the early bird does get the worm, and the early bird part of it is really just following your authentic response. It's a good reminder to, if it ever feels too complicated, just go back to your strategy and authority and your human design. Like, learn that shit, It's designed to keep us on track. If you want to get that Destiny Tug of War special that teaches you the biggest elements of what's going on in 2025 for your zodiac sign, your sun, your rising sign, that link will be down below. It's $9 for that recording, that webinar that I did. It's got a long shelf life. And of course, if you ever want to just study your birth chart, there's a natal chart ebook. That's $33. That link will be down below. But the creme de la creme, if you really, really want to do rock star status stuff and drop into some shamanic wisdom, I'll throw you my cosmic quantum insight at you, give you everything I got in a 1 hour block of my time in a private astrology reading where we'll go deep. We'll look at all the chart layers. Some people, have asked me about moves and stuff. So it's like we go into astrocartography and relocation charts, I've been reflecting more lately on how the South Node is going to be in Virgo, North Node is going to be in Pisces. The nodes are going to be shifting here in T-minus 2 months. And so, this is where we got to, it's like figure out your identity now while that North Node's in Aries, at least as best as you can, because it's going to shift from kind of this basic, who am I, trying to heal, being the wounded healer with Chiron there, what am I doing? Or at least like forging the blind road ahead and having to sacrifice your ego's expectations of it all going a certain way over and over and over and over and over again. And then it shifts. And then when the nodes shift, it's like going to be finding out who we are as a soul through God. And it's a complete, you could call it 180, but it's really just a really weird reset because the nodes move backwards. And so we go backwards in the astrology, go from Aries to Pisces. And so it's like, all this like new beginning, fresh energy, but maybe feeling like we don't always have enough in the tank with Pluto at the end of Capricorn and these outer planets just maxing us the fuck out in terms of what we can handle on the transpersonal level of our, basically just the most massive subconscious reprogramming, that we've seen in at least a few decades. This is the time to figure that out. So, wherever you want to take a reading, that's where it's at. In full disclosure, those aren't, I'm not gonna say they're not cheap because everyone's budget is different, but it is $250 for the reading. So you get a recording afterwards too, and you get to ask me questions at the end about, so you walk away feeling like you've been lit the fuck up with information and you know exactly what to do. Honestly, my favorite astrology clients are the ones that message me after and they're like, thank you. And I took all that information and I built a plan around it. I know what to do. It's like, great. That's what the readings are for. It's like, I give you the information. It's the DIY route. Now, if you want help from the shamanic aspect of myself to go deeper, to help you actually take those steps, that's where we talk about my coaching packages, where we get the full metaphysical swerve on. Let's see what we got card-wise. Let's see if we can get some different cards. The same cards have been coming up past few reads, which it's not a bad thing, it's just the consistency of what we're moving through. So let's see what we got. So yeah, the first card that came up in reverse was the retrograde card. It's all about a review. Someday I'll get it to where, this, you're not having to read it backwards, but at least you can see the pretty picture next to my face. But it's reverse, right? So what the fuck are we reviewing? Get out of that. Like, what are you still like rehashing? Is that Mercury going to try to drive you insane? Is that moon in Aries going to be trying to wish for something to feel better? Some people getting held up in nostalgia in the past. It's like, I get it. Saturn stopped, and it can feel uncomfortable, but it can also be a really good thing because you get excited for the imagination of gathering your toolkit of where things are going to go. Got the Venus card, the beloved. This came up a few days ago, I think, but it's in reverse. It's like, if this is a relationship situation, if you're looking at anything relationship-based, you can even see money-based too, because it's Venus, you're not feeling the luxury of life. It's like, there's nothing to review that about where you're fucking up or what exact perfect step that you got to take to make things more beautiful or something from the past, or, going and doing a weekend, retreat or something, to reprogram your subconscious, which is just you be procrastinating, on some pretty decent astrology. This came up yesterday, the Scorpio card reverse, so you got to stop investigating. Let's see if we can get some good energy for moving forward in this, because this is medicine, these cards being in reverse. It's not that it's bad, it's just it's the warning light indicators on the dashboard, that are going to be flashing. And keep that in mind as you go forward, because I've seen so many people in my reality that are manifesting some intense reality checks, where they're like having sudden expenses or getting into car wrecks, just, smashing into deers, animals, like just stuff that it's like, it's a pretty intense wake-up call, because God cares and wants you to be, on the right track for yourself. So last card, there you go. Second house resources. You're fucking resourced, okay? Dig into that abundance and the sacral. I'd even mentioned that quincunx that Scorpio sun is making over to that moon today. It's like, go deep and just know you're so resourced. It comes from your soul, right? Like, find the energy like within you of abundance, and then just go create it. You create that stuff. Don't try to search for like the perfect wisdom or perfect harmony today. This is just, I say this a lot, but it's like, find your flow, find the right mindset, find the intuitive hits with things, have a plan, have a structure, and just go create your magic, whatever your craft is. Like, look at it this way. The world, and I say the world because, yeah, the U.S. affects it a lot, right? Maybe that's a little narcissistic to say it like the U.S. is the world. It's obviously not. But the U.S. is almost like in a fucking vomiting fest between the hours of 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's been throwing up since 7 o'clock at night, which was basically when the results of the election were being finalized. And so it's kind of like when is this going to end? When is the pain going to end? Nausea is even symbolic of rejecting an experience. And it's like, well, it's over and it stops, and you start to feel better from the purge of whatever it is that you're purging, from the toxicity that the media's been feeding us, once you let that go. And so it's like, go create something beautiful and just put your heart into your creations, because if the people around you are going like through that, give them something positive, give them something truthful and honest. It's fucking Scorpio season. Like, give them something that has sleekness and shine to it, but it's fucking real, that it's not a polished fucking turd. Because I'm going to be honest, even if you are a Trump supporter, and I've been playing my hand very Scorpio secret, not telling you which side of the fence I fall on. Of course, I talked about how I felt in the middle about the negligibility of the election that's going to come here in a few months, but it's like, it might be a shiny turd in your life if you're even happy because he won, but you're not actually staying grounded and rooted into doing the best shit that's in the private sector of your life, and being your own, basically, like I said yesterday, small business owner, the fucking CEO of your own life, because it's going to be a while before he takes office. And do you really need that reality check to be reminded that, a president doesn't affect your life as much as you think? And to be honest, like, even if it does, like, significantly, you should be able to roll with those punches by now, because what we've been, the training ground since 2019, since Chiron came into Aries, especially since 2020, and since Saturn Pluto met, is like, and even 2018 with Uranus and Taurus, it's like, do you have the flexibility? Do you have the gall? Do you have the cojones? It's very Scorpio season shit. Do you have the juice, man or woman, like in you, that fucking sacral energy to go, I don't give a fuck what the status quo reality is of what things are saying. It's not about being a rebel that gets all emotional. It's just about going, you know what? Whatever the time is, there's something alive in my soul that wants to be the sleeping poet creator that just gets roused out of their slumber. And so even if you're a 9-to-5, type person, pour your energy into something beautiful. I know people have challenges, like problems are coming up. Just remember, those are there to just mirror back the ultimate truth, which is that we're here to create. We're here to manipulate energy, just like Dolores Cannon taught us. So it's like, it's just a reflection of where maybe you goofed up a little bit. It happens. We all slip, trip, fall, right? Like when I was a construction manager, that was like the more mild thing, right? It was like worse shit could happen, but slips, trips, and falls, it's like it's still a thing, right? You got to document it. You got to pay attention to it. It's a safety hazard for your life to pay attention to where have you maybe not been creating with the best energy. And even if, whether you were consciously aware of it or not, or you're self-sabotaging, because that's a thing that comes up too, especially with Saturn stop, Neptune at the end of Pisces, and then I think the final thing as we sign off here is just remember, even for the proactive nature of the soul growth, there's parts of us that probably are feeling some weird wounds coming up, and there's people suffering, and it's definitely not about dimming your light with that fucking Mars and Leo making aspects to Venus and Capricorn. It's like, even if your light's not shining super fucking bright yet on the public stage, because God's got some plans for you of how that shine's going to come out with some bigger aspects coming, especially next year. For those way showers, it's like, just remember how to grieve. That's still the biggest part about this, is like, do we know how to grieve, where we hold ourselves back, where we used to hold ourselves back, where, we've all been deceived on some level, and even for those that know that there's been deception, about who we really are as human beings, about what we're capable of creating, especially when we come together, when we get out of the divide and conquer narrative, which can seem fucking impossible. It can seem like being a fly trapped in a fucking nasty trash bag sometimes, trying to, just authentically connect with people, because everyone's on such different levels of mood, especially on a day like today, probably Moon in Aries on Chiron starting the day. It's like, you just got to move forward. You just got to move on and just do the best with the creative energy that is available to you, as we're waiting for these deeper understandings and people don't fully get it. Can we really fully ascend on an individual level? How, I've said this for years, how high can we really go? If we're waiting for the majority of the rest of the collective to ascend. And so it's making some ground, some headway. There's potential. There's a bit of a fixer-upper, but, I see good things coming. We're just, we're coming out of the birth canal. We're getting closer to the labia uterus area in terms of who the fuck we're gonna be fully embodied, more collective, multidimensional aspects of ourselves, especially those that were game for that, to be those new leaders, and we already are. So be that leader. Don't just be the person that knows it. Bring your best energy to the forefront. Put it out there. Make it public. Don't wait. Don't try to push maybe your biggest seed plans forward, the things that are going to revolutionize your life and that, because might have to keep that a little secret and kind of work that out in the background and manifest that shit, not rush it with that moon in Aries on Chiron, just your ego pushing it. But what can you do to create around things that you've already been doing, or you've already been getting that push to do it? You already know what to do. Let that light of inspiration of your heart just show you where to go. Love you all. See you on the next horoscope.